The Religious Affairs Specialist is a combatant soldier and a member of the U.S. Army Chaplain Corps who provides expertise in religious operations, support, and advisement. As a Religious Affairs Specialist, you play a vital role within a unit ministry team responsible for responding to the religious and spiritual needs of soldiers and their family members. Some of your duties may include scheduling religious support in a variety of operating environments, coordinating travel, movement, and force protection for religious support operations, setting up and operating audiovisual equipment, communication equipment, and digital reporting systems, assisting in the planning of religious support operations and deployments, maintaining reports, files, and administrative data for religious operations, overseeing and managing religious property, equipment, materials, and funds, coordinating and sometimes conducting specialized peer counseling for combat stress casualties, and conducting crisis intervention.
The core competencies of the Chaplain Corps is to nurture the living, care for the wounded, and honor the dead. Carrying out those core competencies, you're going to work with your chaplain, and you're going to work at their bedside in the hospital or on the battlefield.
This career field requires individuals with strong communication skills who enjoy assisting and working with others, have an interest working with clergy from various faith groups, have computer and other office equipment experience, along with good planning, organizing, and record-keeping skills.
This job is very versatile. As a religious affairs specialist, it's more than just setting up services and having morale-building events. You will be in the field, most likely with a chaplain. You'll have to set up field services with limited supplies for a wide variety of soldiers. You'll have to set up memorial events. You could also provide religious support to people who may be hurt and providing moral support, especially in a field environment.
After successfully completing basic combat training, you will attend 7 weeks of advanced individual training at Fort Jackson in South Carolina. There you'll learn the proud history of the Army Chaplain Corps, as well as how to provide and advise for many different religions and cultures that impact the Army mission. Various administrative, communication, and management skills, how to prepare forms and correspondence in Army style, and how to utilize a variety of systems and programs the Army uses to assist you in your duties. You may also be eligible for additional professional development courses and technical training, which will enhance your knowledge and leadership skills.
Working in this job can help in the civilian career because the main asset within the military is its people. And on a day-to-day basis, we interact with people, and on any civilian job, there's people that you have to interact with and understand and know and how to get along with their different personality types.
The skills, knowledge, and experience you gain as a religious affairs specialist may help you in your transition from the military to the civilian workforce, where you may find employment in a variety of professions aligned with human services, hospitality, program management, or human resources. With further training, you may choose to pursue a career in counseling, social work, or psychology, fulfilling the spiritual and religious needs of soldiers and their families for God and country. Military Occupational Specialty Religious Affairs Specialist.
Hello, everybody. We are live for another segment of Soldier of the Hour. Today we have a very unique in Las Vegas, Nevada. Is that right? And we're just a hop and a skip over state lines, and we're here in beautiful, sunny California. Still on pretty hot out there.
Yeah, well, it's 115 here, so it's a different kind of heat, but
yes, it is. I don't know. I mean, I prefer dry heat over humidity from Louisiana. That's just, just drenching in sweat. So I just want to let everybody know that this is a live interview with the chaplain. So at any point of time, if you have a question you want to get answered by him, drop it down and we'll get it answered. But for everybody else that's new to our segment, what I want to let you guys know, this is it's our conception motto. All right. So you're showing up or you're viewing this because you have an interest in whatever MOS that we are talking about, or if you're just wanting to see what's going on in the Army. So the way I thought this up is because, job, I know the name of every job, but I don't know what you do in the Army because I have my own specialty, right? And all I'm here is to do the paperwork to get you in the Army. So this is why I created this conception. Everybody has a story to tell from their career, some good, some bad, but it's their story to tell. So you can have two soldiers in the same OS and the same location, but have completely different experience. And that's what I want to highlight. So the purpose of these interviews is show the public, the viewers, the military careers and the benefits, and highlight what some of the things they've done in their career and how it has set them up for life after the Army. Because some people, they might do a one contract, which is 2 or 3 years. Some people might be a lifer like myself and like yourself, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I want to let my viewers know, that this is what we're going to talk about for today. We're going to talk about your story, sir, and why you picked the Chaplain Corps.
Sure.
So if you don't mind, let's start off and tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Sure. Well, my name is James Souza, born and raised in Massachusetts. I kind of say that I do life in reverse, in that I joined the Army at 42 years old. I was married, had 5 kids, and was a pastor of a local church in Pennsylvania when I felt like I got my call to the Army. So I've been in the Army for 10 years. I joined in 2009 and have 5 kids, 3 still in Vegas with us. One is in the University of Alabama right now. One's in Clemson. Happily married to my wife, Carrie, for 25 years. We just celebrated our 25-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yep. So now I'm here in Las Vegas with the 6th Recruiting Brigade, and I am your chaplain, Sergeant Anderson.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate you for looking after my spiritual needs.
I love my job.
So, I have your bio, and I've been reading through your bio a couple times, and I found out that the Army is the world is a really small place, and you're going to run into people is because you were at Fort Hood at one time, and I was at Fort Hood one time, and I was with the 2nd Chemical Battalion because that's my MOS.
My first battalion.
And you were the chaplain for there, and we crossed paths. So I asked you to see if you've seen this picture. So this is my platoon, and I said, hey, I want to do something different. I want to do something unique because Fort Hood is the home of the 1st Cavalry. So I was like, hey, I want to do my enlistment on back of a horseback. Let's go. Wow. So I was just asking if you saw that picture at the battalion. I thought that would be pretty funny, crossing paths, be like, hey, that was me.
Yeah, but it's true. It does happen. We run into people at the same duty station in time, and I can't say I saw that picture, but I'm just curious, where was that taken? Was that on Fort Hood, that picture, or did you go off post to do it?
So there is a dude ranch right in the back training area. One of the MWR events. You can go there and rent a horse, if you want to call it, and do a trail ride. So awesome. I wanted to do the Mounted Color Guard team with Fort Hood, but it didn't line up. So I got to be the Mounted Color Guard rider at Fort Carson. So
okay, great.
So that's my story. Let's talk about your story.
Okay. Yeah,
I mean, you're just so passionate about the soldiers, so it gets very easy to. I'm going to talk about you.
Well, I'm a minister before I am a soldier. I would just have to say that, my calling was to serve people, and I was a minister in a local church for 13 years before I even joined the Army. I never lost that. I just kind of transferred the kind of area, if you will, in which I did it. So my congregation, was a church in Pennsylvania, but now my congregation, my church, if you will, is the unit that I'm with. So I'm doing the same thing, just in a different uniform, if that makes sense.
It does. So, but what made you draw? I mean, it sounded like you had a very successful career out in the civilian world. So what drew you to wear the uniform and to help us? Yeah,
that's a great question. And, to be perfectly honest with you, it's not anything I ever thought about in my adult life until the moment came where I realized I was done at this church. And I know that I had to move on. I did everything I felt like I was supposed to do there. And I felt like this unsettledness in my heart. And so this was in the beginning days of the internet. I was surfing the internet and I read a blog post from an Army chaplain. And a light bulb went on in my head and said, though I'd never really thought about this might be what I'm looking for. And it gave me the opportunity. I wanted my kids to see more of the world and I wanted them to be exposed to diverse people, diverse cultures, diverse life experiences. We were a nice little church in Schnecksville, Pennsylvania, near Allentown, and it was a great life, but I knew that I wanted my kids to see more. So since I've joined the Army, they've spent time in Japan, obviously Texas, Fort Hood, South Carolina, in Vegas now, and they have such a rich, diverse experience. So that was really, I think, one of the driving forces. I still wanted to be a minister, but I wanted a richer experience for my family.
Now, you've been in the Army for 10 years. Obviously, you started your journey a little later than some of the soldiers.
Right.
So how was that process? You read something, you did your research, and then you're like, yeah, I think I'm going to try this.
Yep.
So what was that step? Did you talk to an Army recruiter?
Yeah, I did. I actually went on goarmy.com and filled out this page. And I had a chaplain recruiter call me up, and we established contact and a relationship. I was 42 years old, and I had to go through MEPS with a bunch of 18-year-olds. Kids, I had kids that age. So it was kind of weird. I wasn't in the same kind of shape that they were, and it was very apparent.
You're a buffer, right? You're just
say what?
You're a buffer. Yeah. You're better than shape.
I am now, but back then, So yeah, I had to go through all of those different things, and I had to get, all the paperwork filed and things like that. But it was the Army chaplain recruiter who led me through that.
Okay. So what were some of the questions that you asked at that that recruiter at that time?
What's going to happen to my family if I do this? I don't know where I'm going to live on post. How is that all handled? I had so many questions because I knew nothing, absolutely nothing. Honest in story. It's like when I first put on the uniform, I came in as a captain, which obviously outranks a lot of these younger soldiers. I was afraid to go up to get to a younger soldier because if they would ask me something I wouldn't know, I didn't know what hand to say. And so, yeah, it was quite the learning curve.
So you went through MEPS. I know I did my research, but I want to hear it from you. You didn't have to do basic training. You didn't have to do any AIT because you already had your specialty. You already had your degrees.
IT. You're going to ask me what that acronym means. Chaplain's initial military training. How's that? Okay.
Ooh, beautiful.
That's where they teach you kind of how to be a soldier, what hand to salute with, when the bell goes off, what's on the uniform, just different things like that. And then after that, there was 60 days of like chaplain training, how to be, the Army assumes you know how to be a minister, but they want to make sure you know how the Army functions, how the Army works. So you can be in the right place at the right time, or you know how to address an officer or a soldier. So it was 90 days total of chaplain training. So I went from Pastor Jim. 90 days later, I was Chaplain Souza in the second
adjustment, especially for kids uprooted, the family packed up and moved. But it should have been a fairly easy transition because the Army paid for the movers to come pack up your stuff and take it from point A to point B.
Yeah, they took care of all of that logistical stuff, had a place for my family. And so that was great. Yeah, the Army takes care of all of that stuff because the emotional challenges of uprooting yourself and moving are hard enough. So the Army really takes the edge off by everything they took care of, which was a blessing. Yeah, no doubt about it.
When you tell a soldier, hey, you're going PCS, it's more like, yes, a new exploration, something to look at because they know they're taken care of. So they're looking forward to the
right. But that first time is really scary. That's when you're stepping into the unknown and you don't have any basis to go on. But I know looking back, it was made as easy as possible. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about how's the life of a chaplain in the Army? What do you do day to day, and then what are your responsibilities?
Yep. Yeah. So the primary responsibility is to make sure that soldiers have the opportunity to practice their faith. And in doing that, sometimes Christian, I ensure that they have an opportunity, whether it would be to get a Muslim imam, Muslim minister, or a Catholic priest, enable them to practice their faith. I also, I like to say, I try to go around and breathe life into people and encourage people. We're soldiers, but at the same time, we're human beings, and we have a lot of the same human being problems that the average person on the street does, maybe even more magnified because of the challenges of being a soldier. So I like to see myself as, I recognize and remember that you as a soldier are still a woman and a human being. And with that, you have, burdens, concerns, questions, and I'm that safe space that a soldier can go to regardless of their faith group or whether they even believe in God or not. So, the sergeant major, or all the leaders in the Army, they take care of the soldier side. My emphasis is to take care of the human being, the mother, the father, the son, the daughter. And in doing that, Sergeant Anderson, it makes them, we believe, better soldiers. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, it does. I just want to remind our viewers, this is a live interview. So if you have a question and you're just curious to see what he does on a daily basis, or you have some other questions, drop them down and we'll get them answered. I also have some questions, sir, that people asked ahead of time to this interview. So I'm going to go quickly to one or two of these questions. As a chaplain,
well, as far as a chaplain goes in the ministerial side, the Army assumes that you already have all your credentials as an ordained minister. So the preaching and the Bible study and the conducting services, the Army doesn't really where you know how to be a soldier. The Army wants to make sure you know how the Army works. And so, I get my training just like any officer does in the Army. I have the captain's career course, which teaches me how to be a captain, what a captain's role is in the Army. The next rank is major. And I just graduated from ILE. It's called intermediate level training. And that's all about strategic career schooling. Kind of mirrors that as the typical Army officer. Now I'm reaching a point in my career where I can opt and get specific training for a year, like to be a family therapist, or I can become an ethics instructor or something like that. So that's a decision point that I have now to know, do I want to pursue that specific line of effort?
Okay, well, any thought process now? Which way are you leaning towards? And is it going to cost you anything?
No, I could walk out and get my degree in family therapy and the Army pays for it. I could get my a master's in theology. The Army is going to pay. Accounting masters.
Wow.
Because of taking up offerings in the services and all the funds management that's involved in that, I could get that. So there's a bunch of different options. The Army will pay for everything, which is a fantastic opportunity. But I'm at a point in my life now where I'm weighing, what is a priority for me? Is it career advancement? Is it family stability? And then I say, God, what do you want for me? What is my calling as a minister? So all of these things kind of weigh in. I need to sit down with my kids and my wife, and kind of weigh out, what do we want? What is our priority? What do we think God wants to do for us? So, I mean, so I don't know exactly how that conversation is going to unfold.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully a lot of reflecting and a lot of pros and cons on both sides.
It's nice to have good options, though.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Now, that brings up to another question that I was thinking about as you were talking about that. How different is it to do I don't know the proper terminology, but to do your ministry work with soldiers and then in the past when you did it to your congregation when you're
That's a great question. Yeah, so in the church you have people who have voluntarily chosen that they want to be there and they're there to worship and to pursue their relationship with God. With soldiers, you have some that are all over the spectrum in regards to their even interest in faith. I'm not there to shove my faith down their throat, but I am there to support them and to help them and to be a resource for them. And should they desire to kind of either question, pursue, or show interest in faith, to kind of help them grow in that, towards that target. So what that means is that, I have to be very careful to kind of accept people where they're at and allow them to be where they're at without kind of really kind of smothering them with what I believe. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. And I'm following you. Yeah.
And but here's the thing that I've learned is that soldier church people, what we're all bottom line is we're all human beings. Mm-hmm. And the struggles that they share are very similar. I would say this for soldiers, just because the challenges a soldier has in moving like we do so often, and uproot those challenges that soldiers, they face more challenges on a regular basis than say the average person does. And it can build resiliency.
Yeah, very resilient. And it's a different hurdle. And do you think it makes you better to kind of sit into our soldiers' shoes and be like, okay, I see these stress, I see these hurdles, I see what you have overcome. And now do these civilians have the same hurdles but in a different way? Or hey, if these guys could do it, you guys could do it.
Here's a distinction, and to go back to your last question and to answer this one, is that people would come to the church. I would be in the church. People would come to the church. But in the Army chaplaincy, I just don't sit in the chapel 24 hours a day. I am out there amongst the soldiers, doing PT with them. If they're at the firing range, I'm there with them. So we call it bring God to soldiers. Mm-hmm. And in doing that and meeting them on their turf where they're comfortable, they're more real, they're themselves. And so I get to know them kind of on their terms. And it's building relationships, trust and credibility, and makes that effort to build it, then they're not going to be as useful as they could. So you really need to make the effort to get out there and be amongst them so they're comfortable with you. Because if they're comfortable with you, 100%. They'll let you in when times are hard.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. You have to walk in a mile of our shoes. With that, how do you think that's going to change how once you retire out of the Army, or if you do decide to get out after so many years, how do you think that's going to change your perspective when you go back to your local chapter, your local?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I am going to be such a better at my job as a minister because of my time and the leadership skills that the Army has taught me, the leadership skills. And I think this goes into any MOS. The leadership skills that you learn in the Army set you up for tremendous success. So I know I'm going to walk in to my next position, whether it would be a local pastor or a family counselor or whatever, with a ton of confidence just because it's like, and be honest, I'll be like, there's nothing you can throw at me that's worse than what, not worse, but more challenging than what I've experienced in the Army. So just the confidence that I'll have as a leader is going to make a profound impact on what I do when I get out.
No, and I think it makes you a well-rounded individual, even for just serving, regardless of all things through.
The experiences you have, the different people that you deal with, just the Army really does a wonderful job of just kind of training people to be better people. Only because it's like, you're different nationalities, all different. I mean, there's no greater diverse organization than our Army. And to me, that has been a real blessing, not just for me, but for my kids who've grown up in it.
Yeah, ma'am. So that brings me to my next question, sir. This is an earlier question. Through our promotion of your story. Now, you mentioned a deployment. Wait.
Sure.
So this question is, where is it? If I could find it, I got my little cheat sheet right here. What's the difference okay, so what is the difference in the way you do your job when you're deployed or in
environment? There's a lot more predictability. You can kind of schedule out what your day is going to be. You kind of know there's just a lot more routineness to the job. But when you are deployed, there's a lot more, you need to be because conditions change, or when something happens, you're now doing this. So you really need to be much more flexible. You need to be just kind of really in tune with what is going on. And not only that, but, the challenges soldiers face are different as well. When you're downrange and you're away from your family, you're dealing with a lot of long distance relationships. You're dealing with some marital strain. You're dealing with kids that are upset that their mom or dad are gone, and dealing with that strained family dynamic. So those are different challenges, particularly my job as the chaplain in dealing with the human aspect of the soldier face. And not only that, but you're dealing personally yourself. You're away from your family.
I was going to ask, who takes care of you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the typical. I hear that. Who takes care of the chaplain? I was blessed in my last deployment to Kuwait. It was just like God's gift, for me, for that deployment. We really bonded with one another. Chaplain Moore. And so that was, he took care of me. I took care of him. He made sure that I had my family time, and I was good with my family, and I did the same for him. So
got another question for you, sir. Now, because I don't know too much of what a chaplain does. I know you guys preach. I know you guys are there for to be a shoulder to cry on, or to be an ear to listen to. But how different is it your time in the service? And I know you mentioned that you go to where the soldiers are at, but how different is it from working at your church the last 13 years before you joined? What did you do every day? And then how much work are you putting in as a chaplain while you're in the Army?
Yeah, you work hard. If you want to build relationships as a chaplain, which is the bottom line, most important thing you can do, then you need to work hard. And so basically what that means is you need to find out where the soldiers are, what they're doing, and you spend time with them. So if they're going on a 10-mile ruck march, hey, you're going on a 10-mile ruck march. If they are out in the field, and conducting a military exercise, guess what you're going to be doing? And you will get a tent, and you will do a little religious service in the tent. So, in nuts and bolts, it's the same thing. I'm providing religious support for human beings, people, but just the context is very, very different. So it's a lot of building relationships, a ton of it, and a lot of in building relationships, it's like, chap, can we talk? I have a question. Is just listening people, giving them an opportunity to kind of talk out their own struggles.
Now, does the same laws apply if I was talking to a chaplain as a civilian, and then I was talking to you as another military member, also as a...
Yeah, I know that you as a soldier, and every soldier, you have the privilege of confidentiality with the chaplain, complete 100% confidentiality. What is said in the chaplain's office absolutely 100% stays there. I think it would, only because I'm a clergyman as well. I'm an ordained minister, so it kind of carries over that way. But I can say with assurance that, the chaplain-soldier relationship is a confidential one.
Okay, awesome. Learning about something a little bit. So I know we have a little bit limited time with you. You got to go pick up your kids from the pool. So I just want to let everybody know, if you hear an alarm go off, we have to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Because you're a dad, and
Yeah.
so that brings another question.
Yep.
As a chaplain, do you have more family time or less family time?
I have as much as the other people in my office that I work with as well. I do my job, and I like to see if I can get out and spend the night with my kids, and thank God most of the time I can, but there are things that come up that take me away. And I was, a couple weekends ago, I spent most of the weekend away from home in Utah dealing with an issue. But I'm very happy with the way that the Army has made sure I have my family time. Yes, what the Army does do its best to make sure you do have the time. At least that's been my experience.
Okay. Have you taken any other advantages of the benefits of being a soldier? Have you purchased your house using the VA home loan?
I own a house in Columbia, South Carolina because of the VA loan. Most certainly. I have two kids in college, and they get there's an Army AER, Army Emergency Relief, and that has a little sub thing where my kids have gotten scholarships.
Oh, wow.
Not the GI scholarships. You need to apply to it. But yeah, so that's with 5 kids, that's been substantial. And then there's the GI Bill, which I'm going to give my 3 youngest. They're each going to get a year of college free, which is another huge. I cannot wait for that to kick in. So that's a real blessing as well. And not just that, we lived in Japan for 3 years, 25 miles south of Tokyo, and we were immersed in Japanese culture. And I used to run retreats at the Tokyo Disney Resort.
Wow.
And so, just the opportunity, that was a tremendous opportunity. So I'm sure that there are others, but there are so many different benefits that I was not aware of that I've only learned over my years in the Army.
No, it sounds like you're taking advantage of a lot of the big ones too. School is really important. Yep. I know that you have your bachelor's and master's, right? You have your master. Yes, you do. You have your master's. But that was done like way before you even thought about the Army.
That was in the 1990s. That was before you were born, probably.
Probably. Probably is a 2-part question. Since you've been in the Army for 10 years, but you've been doing this type of job for so long, what keeps you coming back every day, putting the uniform on and preaching about your religion? Or just religion in
Right. You really have the opportunity to be a blessing and to breathe life into people that are hurting. You might and your world might be falling apart, and you need somebody that you can talk to, and you need somebody that you can be real with. I get to be that person. people let me in, and just are real. I never know, when that opportunity is going to come up. I never know when I'm going to have that intimate moment with this person and really kind of breathe life into them. But to me, it's the most tremendous gift in the world when somebody lets you into their secret space and something, just a family problem. It could be a frustration over work relationship, whatever it might be. But I'm in that privileged position. So I love people. And so,
be a lover.
Yeah. Yep. So to even touch base because of Facebook or social networking, I'm in contact with a lot of people I was chaplain with 10 years ago. And to see the growth in them, or to see that they made it through that hard time, and now they're really.
Do you mentor anybody else? Do you tell any people that you've worked with before, say, hey, you should give this a shot, try to do what you love? And
I mean, I often have. I was a chaplain in basic training for 3 years too, and so they established relationship with some kids as they just get in the Army, and so as they're kind of going through their Army career, they might message me or just kind of fill me in or let me know, or past people that I've worked with, still maintain relationships with, really fall out of contact with people.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Have you groomed anybody to be an Army chaplain in the military?
No, I've never had that opportunity, but not done yet. I'm trying.
Would you recommend, after seeing both sides of the spectrum, the civilian side and the military side, would you recommend?
Absolutely. And actually, absolutely tremendous experience. Yes, I would definitely recommend it and do.
Now, so a lot of people don't know this, and I don't know it. When you had to do your contract, what was your?
Nah, it was never anything like that. I mean, I never signed a contract that obligated me to a certain amount of time, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, if I wanted to get out of a chaplain, I make that decision, but I never was obligated to a specific amount of time.
Huh. No, that's very interesting, because I know our medical officers, they'll be like, okay, we'll send you to school, become a doctor, but you have to owe us 8 years.
Some of those resources, that's where the Army's. So for example, if I went to school, I talked earlier about getting a degree in family therapy. I could do that. If I did that, then I would be obligated for a certain term. Or when I registered for the GI Bill, obviously that kicked in. Initially right off the bat, there was, because I think I remember people in my initial training, they left. I don't know the story behind it. I don't know if they got in trouble or whatever, but we started with them. They weren't there at the end.
Okay. And again, we're coming down to the final couple questions, sir, because I'm making sure that you're able to pick up your little ones so they don't think they're abandoned on the street corner.
Thank you for taking care of Army kids.
Yes. I'm a big supporter. I don't have any, but I love them to death. Come over to my house. I'll watch them. What are some misconceptions as a Army chaplain? Do you have a bunch of people that just ask them really off the wall questions? I can think of.
I'm asked everything. Yeah, but the misconceptions, number one, is that I'm not living in the chapel. I'm not this holy man that's like, totally mysterious or distant. No, I'm in this uniform and I'm with the soldiers where they're at. I think another misconception we talked about a little earlier was that, yes, I am a Christian minister and I wear a cross, but that doesn't mean I'm out trying to convince everybody or evangelize everybody. My job is to help people become better at whatever faith group they chose to be in. So if you're a Muslim soldier, my job is to ensure that you have what you need to be a good Muslim. If you're a Hindu, you have what you need to be a good Hindu soldier. Jewish, Christian, Catholic, even non-faith. So, I'm trying to breathe life into people and help them become better human beings. I am a Christian, and I do Christian services, but I serve all soldiers equally and without prejudice.
Wonderful. That is outstanding. That's great to hear. There's my alarm. You got to go, sir. You got to go.
Question. You got one more?
Yes, my question is on a military installation or basic missions.
You would always work through your chaplain, and the way that the chaplain corps is so small, if you find anybody who's a chaplain, you can say, hey, I need this. And whether they're in your unit or not, I can say this with assurance, they will help you. They will be there for you. And if they don't have the answer, they're going to walk you to somebody who does. So regardless of what unit you're in, whether you're attached to them or not, whether you wear the same patch, First Cav, Fort Hood or not. Yeah, there you go. Big Red 1. All right. So a chaplain is going to help you get the answer regardless of your faith group. You give me a call and I'll make sure I contact them.
Well, I'll get you the answer, sir. If anybody, sees this and are having trouble. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. You have a safe and blessed day. Tell your kiddos.
One last thing.
The plug-in.
Go.
Don't forget your plug-in.
Yes. So listen, if you are listening to this, I do have a YouTube page, and I send it out to all my soldiers. It's a devotional that I do. Strength, emotional strength, relational strength, spiritual strength, integrity, Army values, all those different things. And I encourage you to look in that, and of course, subscribe. Right? We want to build this up. So thank you so much for giving me that opportunity to do a shameless plug. Sorry, Anderson, I got to go to the Skyview YMCA and get my kids.
Go get them. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Time.
Right,
have a great day. I'm gonna get him off the screen. There you go. So like I said, it wasn't a full hour. He has some little ones he has to pick up, but you guys, if you have any questions about what a chaplain does in the Army or how to become one, if you are one already, like he said, go to goarmy.com, fill out the application, and a recruiter will contact you in your area that would help you with that process. If you have questions about the Army in general for the enlisted side, if you guys are watching this live, go ahead and hit hashtag live. If you're watching this after the fact, put down rewatch, okay? And if you have any questions after the fact, leave them down. We normally come back to these videos to see if anybody's YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So keep the questions coming. And next week we have a very special guest. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys next week on Tuesday from 4 to 5 Pacific Coast. Right place in the right uniform, you can't go wrong. Until next week, stay safe. I'll catch you guys later.
Hard work. Hard work. Hard work.